Anyway, let's go on to our next topic. Alan, why don't you give us your topic, sir?
Okay, so as you guys know, Sausage Party came out 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
and yours truly worked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
How
here.
many times have you seen it, Alan?
Fuck, dude, I don't know. Like,
25 times,
wait,
26
like
times?
so many times, probably. Yeah, I've only seen it like actually in the theater
5 times.
Mummy.
twice,
Oh, twice.
twice. So like on the premiere, and then they did a screening for us to bring like friends and family, and I brought a friend to go watch it, and that's it. So I
And
never
you
actually
serve
bought
hot
a
dogs.
ticket, which is I don't know, maybe bad. I don't know.
No, come on.
Um, but the movie's hilarious. Everybody go out there and see it, especially people on the Maelstrom Gamers who have not. Clay, Steve.
Clay hasn't seen it
Like
either?
I have
What?
I have a kid. I can't. It's so hard
So
to
do
see
I.
movies.
Bring the kid. He
No.
don't like it.
No,
It'll go over his head.
there's
It'll go over
decimal
his head.
levels that theaters hit that are not good for babies' ears. So you have to go to a baby specific
Earmuffs, man.
movie showing with low decibels, and there's no way that a baby showing is going to have Sausage Party. So
Yeah.
I'm
It's
scared.
like Maelstrom Gamers Late Night Whispers, so you guys
Yes,
want to check it out on
perfect.
YouTube.
Oh yeah.
It's very baby friendly.
Where can they find that, Steve?
On YouTube/Maelstrom Gamers.
Channel.
YouTube.com/Maelstrom Gamers.
Jeez, this guy. Maelstrom Gamers
It's
channel.
www. dot.
I gotta
Yes.
change it. Channel.
HTTP.
Nobody's gonna remember channel.
Yeah,
Backslash.
www.maelstromgamers.fart.
Oh, dot clown penis dot.
Fart.
So-
So anyway, I don't know if you guys saw this, but after the movie came out, a lot of mostly animation people were complaining because their name was not in the credits, even though they worked on the film. And working from the studio, I can tell you that, as far as I know, that's not out of practice, and working in the industry, that's not like that weird. It's pretty par for the course. Not especially if you don't finish a contract somewhere, like you leave before you finished your work, like on a studio. So like say you had this job at Sausage Party Place and you left because you found a better job before the movie was over. I don't think there's anything in the contract that says they have to be in the credits list. Like, yeah, you'll get your IMDb credits. You just won't get on the film credit because not only is there a certain number of names that you can put on there, but it's also just kind of like a fuck you to leave the project halfway through. Anyway,
You had people do
So-
that?
yes, and that's the kind of the side of it that you're not seeing is a lot of these people are like, oh, like they blacklisted me because I wanted to go work somewhere else. Well, a lot of these people are not telling this story. Okay, hi.
Friday is
About-
saying hi.
About like this one guy who I've seen actually posting. He said like he had to go back to his home country because of a visa problem, and then they axed him from the credits because he had to leave. Even though it wasn't his fault. Well, the real story is he told these people he had to go back to his home country, and his dad was sick, and the next Monday after this weekend he was working at Sony. So it's like you're not seeing all these real
Yeah.
stories
Yeah.
from the other side of it. It's all these animators who are complaining about not being credited.
Are you in the
and
credits?
I'm in the credits, yes.
Is
I
it
was
a-
looking for your name, man.
But I
think
also
missed it.
finished the whole fucking movie. I was there for like 2.5 years working on it. So
Is this a tactic in response to just like I'm wondering if this is an effect because of a cause, right? Like if
what is?
like the tactic of like leaving a project to work on another company, right? To work on another company's project and lie to save face because the result
Oh.
could be a blacklist of like you left mid-project. See you
Nobody's
later.
gonna blacklist you. Like it's
Okay.
so common to like jump around studios like when a better offer comes around.
Okay.
Like
So
like,
he was just
okay,
being
like
shady.
this company is family owned, so perhaps like you could be blacklisted from working there because it's
Right.
like that's personal then.
So do you
essentially.
think if he didn't lie, he wouldn't have had his credit, or he was just trying to make it? Because like the other thing possibly is his idea was like, okay, if I lie and make it seem like it wasn't my fault, I'll still get credits. But like, are those credits like in the visual movie that much more important than IMDb?
No, see that's the
IMDb
thing. Like
Right.
credits in the movie is like so you can show your friends, you can show your family members
Right.
when they're watching. Like, hey, look at my name right there. Like that's it. That's all
Okay.
that matters. Like
So
nobody's
has-
taking the work away from you.
Right.
You can still put it on your reel. You can
Right.
still put your IMDb. Like that's fine, you know.
Okay.
That's the big like issue that I've had, because I've had movies where I'm not credited on that I worked, you know, just as hard as anybody else on, and it's just like comes down to stuff that's out of your hands. Like sometimes there's just not enough slots for names, which is a thing.
Right.
Sometimes you have to work on it for a longer amount of time in order to get a credit. It's just how it goes. But it's not like that invalidates my work,
Right.
or says that I didn't work on the movie. It's just not in the fucking credits. Like,
Well-
woohoo, I can't show anybody
Right.
like my name on the credits. you
Okay.
know?
Let me ask you this. You said IBD credit? What's that?
IMDb.
IMB.
IMDb.
InternationalMovieDatabase.com.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know that.
When you usually
Cool.
look up a movie, it's like it has
Yeah,
the
when you look
credits
up a
and
movie and
stuff.
you're like, what is this from? You go to IMDb.
Okay.
It's really
Cool.
like I'm
Yeah, irritable
surprised
bowel
that is not. It's been around since we were like freshmen in college, and I'm always kind of surprised the amount of people that don't know about that.
IMDb.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who just don't. I've never heard
Yeah,
of this thing.
It
I've
pops
never-
up all the time when
never
you look
heard
up a
of it.
movie. Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just there's just a
Yeah,
lot of.
just
I
look
guess
it up.
I
Yeah.
wonder if it's just like the type of person you are, right? Like if you're like, oh man, who,
I mean, we
who's
did
that
go to
actor?
art school, so it's like
Usually
Yeah.
the worst kind of
pretty
people. That
Yeah,
know
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Usually the worst kind of people.
I
Yeah.
digress.
So yeah, like there's lots of articles. Like apparently, the union is like investigating my studio, all this other stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Well, but you
Like,
don't. Do you have
really?
animators? Because you're a visual effects house.
No, it's an animation studio actually.
Okay. Okay.
Like,
So you
first
are
and
definitely
foremost.
then in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But like that's the thing, is like all these complaints they had about like unpaid overtime and like no meals and stuff. I never experienced any of that the entire time I was on the project. So that's another reason that I feel like perhaps this is kind of, you know, oversold maybe by these animators, and like on the real, animators are like the divas of visual effects and animation, because they
sounds
think
like a
they're
lot
like
of drama.
they're like the actors, you know, like they bring the performance and everything.
Right.
Dude, like ever since I started working here, animators are like the weirdest fucking people I've ever met.
Now,
Every
have
time
you
you go to a floor where there's animators, they're like making weird sounds, like doing weird shit. I don't
How
know.
do you-
They're trying to get into the
Do you
character.
think if the movie didn't do that good, do you think that there'd be this many allegations?
No,
against
see, that's the thing. Is like, yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as something does well, you're gonna have naysayers, you're gonna have
Oh,
like critics and everything. So
Bunch
I
of
feel like
shit,
if the movie wasn't popular, nobody would be picking up this story at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're
That's-
probably, and honestly, in like a mind frame, just casting a wide net. Like, oh, hey, we'll just try to say all this stuff, and we might get them for this. We might get them for that as well. Just like
Yeah.
when someone sues like someone else, they just sue everyone just to make sure they cover all their bases.
I do want to be careful and tread lightly on this topic personally when I
Okay.
say stuff, because I definitely don't want to make anybody think that these are Allan's views, or Allan, you have to answer anything or refute this. But I do want to, like, in this particular case, it sounds like there might be some exaggeration, but in my personal opinion, there is a problem with overtime and
There
horrible
is.
schedules within the visual effects, animation, gaming industry. Like, it's very common to work a ton of hours, and so I think some of these movements are important. It's a shame
Yeah.
they're exaggerated, but I don't mind it because I know that it exists somewhere, and I feel like it's a problem that needs to be solved. And I'm
Yeah.
all for
got a
anything
problem,
getting
yo, I'll
this
solve it.
problem solved sooner, right? And
I
then-
agree. I agree. And I think like what we were starting to say before the podcast is like it's difficult to have any sort of traction with this issue, because every year students are going to graduate from college. They're growing up, or they're like learning the trade at school, where they're putting in crazy hours just to get a project done. So they're used to like working crazy hours. They go to a studio, finally they get that job. Like, yes, I'm finally working for Sony. I'm finally working for whoever, ILM. And then it's like, okay, yeah, like maybe I'll just work 2-3 extra hours, to make sure they see that I do like good work.
Yeah.
Well, they just got 3 hours free from you, and somebody else who might have been working in the industry longer, they're not going to be doing that kind of stuff. So basically, they can be replaced by this person who is willing to work for free,
right.
Yeah.
and probably has a lower salary because they're just starting out in the first place.
And we talked
Which is
about how
terrible.
other industries take care of this, and you had mentioned they unionize.
And yet, unionizing is pretty standard. Like animation in U.S., actually, there's an animation guild that covers animators in the United States.
Oh wow.
This is only for animation, not for visual effects, though.
Yeah, visual.
So like places like Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, those people are covered by this animation guild.
So
they
like the
actually have
visual
union
effects
stations.
people kind of like in my field, because I'm trying to get a grasp on this. So like you get the pharmacist who just checks prescriptions, and then you got the the technician that does pretty much all the work. So is it kind of like that?
Yeah, kind of.
Because
But
But they both do work. They just do different work.
Well,
Yeah,
different work, yeah, I guess.
They do different work. Yeah, everybody's like doing the extra hours and all that kind of stuff. But animation really, for the most part, only deals with their animation because they're like so high up the pipeline. You know, shit rolls downhill. So by the time it gets to lighting, usually there's a lot of shit piled up. That's the biggest issue.
I think about it like this, Alan. You could probably do a better job, but like, think of a man on fire, like just like going like and like waving around, right? A scene like that. The animators are the dudes, right? They're the ones doing all of that, right? And then the visual effects are coming in and actually making the fire on the guy.
Oh, okay.
Right, and you
That
can't
makes
make the
sense.
fire on the guy unless he's animated. So I think that's what Alan was just talking about in terms of like funneling. Like you need that animation be done first, and then you can go in and you can like start maybe lighting a scene,
effects.
making the fire look more real, making it from
Okay.
scratch. So they're both doing a lot of work, right? And it's very
Yeah, yeah.
tedious, and there's a lot of minutia there.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It takes many man hours just to do any sort of project, small or large, regardless, for all departments. But yeah, I think animators are divas, and that's my personal.
You don't know
opinion.
any animators, do you?
No, I've been around lots of them. They're weirdos.
I will not say the same. There are animators that are cool that I've worked with.
Fucking bizarre people.
I think they're okay.
Nobody. Do they watch the show?
Well, I don't. You
I know
never
one guy. There's one guy at work that watches, and he's in layout department. He's always like, "What are you guys playing? You still playing Smite?" I'm like, "No." But he's pretty cool. I always see him watching like I don't know, like videos, like gaming videos at work and stuff. So
That's cool.
I hope he doesn't get sucked in the animation department.
Well, so the other thing
Brilliant.
I was going to mention in terms of this topic was, I've heard like other people respond to this on the boards and the comments,
Yeah.
and they're like, it's so common in my banking industry to work 16 hours, a day.
That doesn't mean it's okay though.
Okay, one,
Right,
you're right.
exactly.
It doesn't mean it's okay, and two, your salary compared to an animator's salary is way different for you to be
yeah.
working 16 hours. Okay,
Yeah.
you are rolling in like Mercedes. You're getting some good money. You got great suits. Like your atmosphere is probably a little bit different. These people are getting paid like 50 grand a year to work 16 hours. Like it's different. It's
Yeah.
really different. Also, they're probably in a city, possibly living in a city, if not commuting. You can do that job potentially not in a city and really reap the benefits of living in a suburbia area and
Right.
having a lower cost of living with a very high salary. So, yeah, okay, you work 16 hours, but you also get a lot more money. And I will say, if you're working 16 hours as, say, like, it's so different. If you're working 16 hours as an electrician or like a lineman, right? Or even like more like hardwood, you have unions, you have overtime that doubles your pay. Like, there's not necessarily that
Yeah.
all the time for an animator. It's just different because of how young that industry is. So like I really think that it is what is the word, reductive, when someone comes on those boards and goes, I work blah 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 and make 16 hours and do 16 hours, so suck it up. It's like you don't understand that this industry needs to mature more. So by you saying that, it doesn't help anybody. It actually does worse, because it just will make someone who doesn't know anything think that these people are freaking out over nothing or whatever, because like it is a problem. They need to fix this. It has to improve. It's not dire or anything, because it was a lot worse, but like there's still room for improvement, and I think it's still a good conversation to have every year if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there is definitely some benefit to having unionization for people, but
It's weird. They hate it.
The big issue is like people know that there's like union dues that you have to pay, and then they have a lot of control, and it's kind of like you're stuck to whatever the union is going to set up for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like the fact that they can just move around and work wherever they want and like take whatever rate they want and not have standardization, because they like that flexibility, right? So nobody can really get on the same page.
And so because it's really weird. Like the idea of a unionization is counterintuitive to the culture that has created the animators and the game designers, right? Those guys are very free, opened, like fluid. Union is very structured, set. It also like you just said, Alan. I think it's a really great example. People are banking when they don't want a union. they're banking on their ability to negotiate and
Yeah.
the experience for them to go in and get higher pay and being able to move around and work the system. But what
Right.
that leaves other people who are not as experienced in the dust. And
Yeah.
there's a large gap, and like that sucks, man. Like, so something like a safety net, like a union, does help. So I don't know. I really like.
It's a pretty hot topic in visual effects and animation to have a union or not.
Right.
Like there's the Visual Effects Society, I guess, is like the big visual effects group. They really are pushing for unionization because that would really protect employees like myself from studios like Rhythm and Hues that just go bankrupt, you know, because of the ridiculous type of practices that are done for visual effects bids and stuff. And Steve, actually, I have one of those. You know that video you sent me, like of the pharmacist, a day in the life of a pharmacist.
Yeah,
or whatever?
yeah. Extra normal.
Extra.
Yeah.
Normal. There's one of those.
Yeah, they
for,
went out. They went out of whatever.
Yeah, but there's one for visual effects that I saw the other day. That's like perfect for what the model of visual effects is like. It's like talking about how you like get a certain amount of money to do shots. You're like, he's like talking to the client, which is like a producer at like a Sony or something, and he's like, the producer's like, yeah, we want to make some changes. Like, we want this animal to be running on water, and he has a character riding him through water, and the characters are made of water, and then they explode into fire and smoke. And he's like, it is a fixed bid, so you will do this work for free. He's like, well, that's kind of some big changes. It is a fixed bid, so you will do these changes for free. I was like, well, that's kind of a big change. So.
Yeah, dude. So that's the other thing. This topic is so rich because the other.
Because that's a huge issue. It's like you. That's how it's set up. It's like you pay whatever. You pay us $10 million to do 600 shots. It's like, that's the money that you're getting paid to do these 600 shots. Well, you start fucking working on these things, you show it to the client, and they're like, you know, actually, yeah, I would like that to be made of water and this. And you're just like, well, now we have to pay like 10 different artists overtime for like 2 weeks just to get to what you want to do. And they're like, well, we paid you for 600 shots. You're going to give us 600 shots for what we paid you. I'm like, well, these changes should be accounted for in what you like originally asked for the payment.
And so
I think 1,200 shots.
I think that comes. Yeah. I think that comes down to production, because a lot of times in these overtime situations and hard work, like these people just working extra hours, comes to a level of like experienced producers who are capable of putting in this extra time, this fluff time for things like people getting sick, people having babies, people going on vacation, just horrible downtime, like internet goes down, fucking your servers go down, you lose all your work, big changes because the client wants to like just pivot completely, delays in what you expect to get. Like all of this stuff should be added into the schedule, because ultimately that's what's causing the issue, right? You need to get stuff done by X amount of time, and they want to.
There are producers out there that expect that, and they try to get that. But the issue is there's going to be another studio that will literally underbid. They will ask for less money than they know they can do the work for, just because they'll get 4 projects that they've underbid.
Yep.
MPC is like a big one. There's this other studio that I worked for. They worked on like the Harry Potter movies, all these other ones. That's like their MO, is like they will just grab 10 projects, underbid for all of them, so they get a bunch, so they have enough money to pay everybody to do shit tons of overtime and all that other stuff. But not really. They actually, I take it back. They don't really pay that much overtime, and their salary, what they pay you, is really shitty. So that's the key. Is like they hire a lot of students, like people right out of school, and that's how they keep their costs down.
What we're describing is like a multi-systemic issue. Right, it's how the studios get work. It's how people are competing within the studios. It's how those people like are getting the work within the studios. Like everything, like the whole system needs to be rethought. Right, like whether it's regulations or unions or like it's unjust for a company to come in, underbid everybody who's doing the right thing by like setting correct schedules, right? Like and then underpaying and overworking people. It's borderline. It's borderline fucking what do they call it? Child labor. Like it's in the same vein, right? You're overworking people and paying them like shit, and you're getting away with it. This needs to stop, and there needs to be ways to reprimand that, right?
Well, isn't that partly the buyer's fault too?
No,
Like,
no, no,
I mean,
no,
because
no,
you
no,
know
no,
what you're
no,
gonna
no.
buy. You know
No,
what
no,
you're
no,
probably
no.
getting into.
I mean,
aren't
you
It can
potentially
be
could
shit
put.
work.
That's one way to do it, right? You could slap a fine on a buyer who's caught like that. But like really, you can't blame the buyer for looking at two different fucking packages that you're gonna buy, and one just being absurdly cheaper.
Expensive?
And
Oh.
you know what I mean? Like you as a buyer, hard
Okay, well,
numbers
as a
suggest you
buyer,
go
if I
that
go,
way.
but the thing is that as a buyer, if you go to the store and you see like two sets of headphones and they look exactly alike and everything like that, but
One's cheaper than the other.
one's little cheaper than the other, but
Yeah.
like you're thinking, okay, this one's a little bit more better packaged, but this one's cheaper and it's less packaged, but they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'm going with
You're
the
still
cheap
gonna,
one.
in your mind, you're still gonna think something's wrong with this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What's
but you're
wrong with this
ultimately 9 times out of 10 going to pull the trigger on the cheaper one unless you know
exactly.
something, right?
So it's still the buyer's fault, though.
It's
Well,
Dude,
not,
there's
though.
got to be a part of the blame, though, right?
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I'm not suggesting you don't, and you could.
Especially maybe if you're looking at those companies and everything, and you
But
probably
here's
like this one has
here's the-
more credibility than this one. This
Here's the
one's brand-
problem, right? Like we do that with clothes and stuff that you were like retail, like you were suggesting, right? Because we know that there's like things in China that they build that are like really, really bad working conditions, and so as a consumer, aka the buyer, you want to boycott that, and it's on our own conscience. And then there's like word of mouth, and it goes viral about don't buy this because they're doing this. But like because it's in another country, the U.S. has no authority or regulation over things like that. So when stuff gets imported, like we end up buying it, right? Same can be said for a potential Hollywood studio trying to get a visual effects house to do some work. If they're outside the restrictions and the regulations that we're putting in set, you need another way to slap some type of regulation on that, right? Like by saying, okay, you know, you can't purchase from these people, or you can't conduct yourself in this way as a studio house. So you need to stop them from being
Yeah.
able to exploit the system.
And I think there are like studio, you know, like the Sonys and Foxes or whatever. It's like whatever director gets the like amount of money for their movie, they might want a specific studio to do that work because they know they're gonna like deliver on something specific. You know, like that's their speciality or something. You know, like Rhythm and Hughes was really good at the fucking talking furry creature movies. So like if you had a movie like that, like Golden Compass, you know, you're gonna be directing Golden Compass. You'd be like, okay, well, I really want that studio to do it. But it all comes down to however much money they have in their own budget to work with. So like if they have like a fucking, you know, $500 million movie budget, they might go for like a Weta and ILM to do all their visual effects. Like Star
So pretty
Wars, they're
much
gonna
it-
have money out the ass. They can pick whoever they want, right?
So
Right.
pretty much it came down to like this type of movie's never been done before. We don't know how it's gonna go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
So
it's a
they-
lot.
A lot of underbidding probably there.
I mean, think
So-
about all the movies where they have these scenes. Like a lot, most of the time, you're looking at a scene that's just never been like kind of done before. Whether it's a tiger on a boat in the middle of an ocean, doing just crazy
Hi.
stuff.
Life
pretty
of
much every movie a studio works on, you develop some brand new technology that you've never had to do before, like or some way to like light and render or animate or like, you know, do something. Every single time it's like our research and development to create an effect for some part of a movie. So like you're always having to make something new.
Yeah, and even then, you realize that technology, maybe you did it wrong. You should have done it some other way, and like that's just
Right,
another
yeah.
thing that screws up the schedule and causes more work that should be accounted for in the schedule. It's crazy, it's wild, and like I don't know. I just urge anybody out there who's like, there's people out there with families. There's people out there that have like other outside of work issues, and god damn it, dude, like. There's people out there that believe in a life-work balance, and I believe in that too. And like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I don't care if you're single and you got nothing else to do, and you love this as a passion. Like, try to think about other people or yourself, and like realize that like work should be work, and like someone
Play
who
should
just
be play.
exploits it shouldn't get ahead or anything. Like, it's
Yeah.
hard because it kind of touches on like social kind of like socialist kind of thoughts where like everything is like flatlined, but like. I don't know how else you keep things fair if it's not just like an even thought of like you put in this X amount of work and then that's it. It's hard to, I don't know. Like I said, this topic is rich with stuff, and I don't want to
Yeah.
go too much longer, but yeah.
And just basically, my final thought is that people are always trying to get ahead, and a lot of times they think,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'll put in more hours, I'm going to get ahead."
Right.
And I mean, my motto is always, I mean, granted, you have to spend time on things, but work smarter, not harder.
Right.
Yeah, my final thought is just always shut the barn door and do what you're told.
Totally, man.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
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 Here,
Yep.
man. Robble.
Well,
All right, we're gonna go on my topic.
all right.
Let's hear it.
Thank you guys for listening to that, and go
Nah,
see Sausage.
Yeah.
Sausage
I'm the
Party.
only
Go
one that saw
support-
Sausage Party.
Go support. No, I think
Rocco
Rocco
saw
saw
it.
it too.
Rocco
Okay.
saw it.
Rocco
No, that's
saw
right.
it.
That's right.
Go
I
support.
wanted to see it.
Go support. Because like Suicide Squad eventually.
Yeah, you
caught
guys
up,
saw
which-
Suicide Squad, but you didn't see Sausage Party. Okay,
Yeah,
I can
Steve.
guarantee you that was fucking $15
I
a waste.
couldn't take my daughter to go see Sausage Party.
Not the older
Yeah,
one.
you could. You could. Then you don't have to
Older
have the
one?
birds and the bees talk.
Yeah, exactly. Boom, it's done.
That's gonna get awkward. Because isn't there like a
That's
sex
gonna be
scene?
really awkward.
Dude, there's a
Hardcore
guy from
hot
work
dog
that
on
brought
hot
his
dog.
like 4 or 5 kids, and all not a single one was over like 10 years old
Oh,
to
dear
the
Lord.
Friends and Family premiere. And I was just like, what? Literally, like our director was like introducing the movie, and these kids walk in, and everyone's like looking at him. He's like, what the shit? And then like. And then, like, his parents come in, like, this guy that works in the studio is like, oh, okay, it's, like, your family, all right, you freaks.
But I'd still
Um,
be like, what the shit?
Yeah.
These topics are really interesting. I really like them. I like getting an inside view into the visual effects world and what's going on and, like, learning about that stuff. It's really
It's almost
informative.
kinda
It's pretty
voice
cool.
actors thing.
I'd love to touch on it some more in the future.
Tax incentives next time.
Sweet.